Uh, Hi, uh, great to see you all today. So, last time when we were dealing with Python, we had undergone understanding about how exactly do you install Python, as well as the various ways by which you can do calculations in Python. But before we start actually using the power of Python for our calculations, let us first understand on how exactly does Python carry out with the work. So to understand that, we will first try to understand what exactly is a variable. So, what are basically variables in Python? When you talk about variables, the variables are none other than containers which are meant for storing data values. Now, most of the times that you would have a variable could be of different types. It could be a text, a string, a value, a decimal, or even a binary. So, any of these variables can be used to store information in Python. Well, unlike your other programming languages, Python has no command for declaring a variable. So, like if you are aware about, if you use any other programming language, like C, C++, in all of these, you need to first declare the variable, and also you need to declare the variable types in these programming languages. Whereas in Python, you don't need to worry about them because you don't need to declare a variable because there is no command as such for declaring a variable. So for example, if you are working in C or C++, you need to define the variable as whether it's an integer or whether it's a float or whether it's a real. Why? Because that much of space is allocated to those variables. But in Python, Python has got no command for declaring such variables, so you can simply go ahead and declare any kind of a variable that you want. A variable is created the moment that you first assign a value to it. So, unlike in other programming languages where you have to go ahead with setting up a variable at the start of the program and then continue with using those variables in the rest of the program, unlike in Python, the moment that you initialize a variable anywhere in the Python program, the variable is set. So, when I talk about a variable, if I am using it even at the start or the end of the program, at any point in time, if I create a variable, immediately the value can be assigned to it. So, there are a little bit of details that we all understand or we need to look into while setting up a variable name. So, a variable can have a short name like x and y, or maybe it can start with letters. Remember that your variables can never start with a number. So if you would say 9 is equal to 0 as such, it would be considered as a logically wrong statement. And hence the reason why a variable number name cannot start with a number. A variable name can have only alpha and numeric characters and underscore. It means that any special characters like exclamation, at the rate, hash, dollar, you cannot use those symbols to set up a variable, right? And also, in case of Python, your variable names are case sensitive. It means that if you are taking a capital A and setting it up as a variable, then a small a would also be a variable, but it would be a different variable as compared to the capital A, because in Python, the age variables, the variables and their values would differ because of the case sensitivity. So, let's not waste further time. Let us go ahead with understanding about how we implement it, right? So, let us go ahead with starting your Python, right? So, we are here on Python. Let us go ahead with creating the variable. So, the first, remember that we can create any variable. So, I can go ahead with creating, let's say, a variable with the letter A. So, we start with A we hit the equal to sign and let's put it 10. Hit the semicolon and this information is saved in A. Similarly, I can go ahead with assigning B is equal to, if I put it in double quotes, my name, right, and hit a semicolon, then this information is also saved. Similarly, I can go ahead with using a lowercase for setting up the variables. So C is equal to 20. Right. Now, if we want to check whether these variables have actually been saved or not, or whether these variables information is correctly being shown or not, we have an option of using a statement called as print. So you can use print, and then in the brackets you need to put in the variable name. So the moment that you put in the variable name, it will display you the result. Now look at it that I put in lowercase, and let's see what happens. So when I put in the lowercase, it says name A is not defined. Reason is simple, because our A is not a variable which has been defined in the program. However, the capital A is being defined in the program, which has been defined as value 10. In this case, your A that we see over here is case sensitive. It means your capital A is different from your lowercase a. Right. Similarly, we can now go ahead with directly mentioning the statement print B, and it will type the entire steps. Right. So basically, if you have an option of print, it will help you to print the statements directly. Also, while doing this, you can go ahead with directly resulting or directly putting in values. Let's see if that works. Print, okay, we put in A plus C. Right. Now this would be wrong. Reason, because there is no such C that has been defined. We have taken the lowercase as C. So let us try it out. I'll put in print A plus lowercase c, right, and then semicolon, and we get the correct value, that is A plus C, which is equal to 30. Similarly, let us try it and see if we can add A and B together. So let's try print. So let's keep it lowercase. Print A plus B and hit enter. Now it says type error, unsupported operand for plus, because if you all would see that our type A is an integer and type B is a string. So in this case, this would not allow us to carry out the operation, because both of them are not numerical in format. One is numerical, the other one is text in format. Let us see if we can go ahead with storing any values in decimal. So let me go ahead with creating a new variable. Let me put it as D is equal to 6.21. Right. Now let us see print D, right, and hit enter. Now remember that whenever you're doing or whenever you're trying to print, you would need to make sure that the data or the values, the variables are always in brackets. So print and put in D. Okay, so yes, it is helping us to print. Now please understand that the variable A, which has been given, is clearly defined as an integer, whereas variable D that we have is a float. Let us see if it allows us to help doing an addition. So print A plus D, and it allows us. So basically the above statement shows that we can go ahead with adding an integer and a real number, but in this case it allows us to do the addition as well. Alright, so this is what we are referring to. Now let us say that I want to do a certain calculation and I want to store this particular calculation in some other variable which I want to use it at a later stage. So how would I do that? Okay, and in this case we can go ahead with defining that character and accordingly do the calculations and store it in it. Right. So let us take one sum. Right. We will take a value where we are trying to calculate the interest earned on a principal amount. So let us take P is equal to 5,000, N is equal to 4 years, and the rate of interest is equal to 10% per annum. Alright. Now we have all the four values, which is P into N into R. Right. Now we need to calculate. So either you can go ahead with directly calculating and showing the interest onto the screen, or what you can do is you can go ahead with storing the interest into another variable which is defined as, let's do that, which is defined as I is equal to P star N star 100 P star N dot star dot R divided by 100, and now this is where the interest is being stored. Now if I use the statement print I, it should help me to calculate my interest rate. So the interest is 2000. Similarly, this particular statement now can be used to calculate the amount as well. Why? Because now we can write down amount is equal to P plus I. Right? Remember that your P should be lowercase and I should be lowercase. Now these values are still there in your Python, and we can finally print on how much is the amount that is being generated. Right, and there we have total 7,000 rupees that the person would be earning after 4 years at the rate of 10% per annum. Right. Now what we were looking at was a very simple example of calculating using Python. We can apply the same with using your if you can apply the same for your compound interest. Okay. Now what we were dealing with here so far were integers. However, there is a possibility that when you are dealing with compound interest, you might come across with data which should be in real form, which in decimal forms. So in that case, how do we work it out? Let us show. So if I want to find out the compound interest, you all must be aware about that the formula for compound interest is, so I need to first find out the amount, right? The total amount that would be given is, I will name that as compound underscore amount, right? The formula goes as P into 1 plus R divided by 100, right? Now you'll remember we used this power as raised to the power, right? Or we can use star star, right? Let us use star star raised to the power n, right? So I believe this should help us finding out the compound amount. Let's print compound amount. Okay, and let's see what is the amount. Yes, so as you can see that Python has calculated as the compound amount, which is basically 7,320. Now this compound amount is the amount which the person has earned along with the interest. So we need to find out compound interest. So the compound interest formula, compound interest is none other than, right, the compound interest formula was your amount minus the principal. Okay, so in this case compound interest is equal to compound amount minus principal, right? And this is the interest that has been generated. And let us see now what is the compound interest. Right, which is none other than 2320. Right. So now that we have understood about how to set it up, right, we know about what are variables, how can variables be used in our calculations, and using these calculations how to print our values in Python we have understood. What you are expected to do is, you are expected to take down the sums that we have solved in the class and show those sums and solve those sums using Python. In that case, we might be required to set up the variables and set it up accordingly and shows the values. And I want you all to cross verify it whether the values do come or not. Don't forget to take a screenshot of the programs that you have typed, and or don't forget to take a screenshot, or you can directly copy those programs and save it as a file. To save it as a file, you can click on File, you can click on Save As, and you can save this as a file which would be a Python file. So you can save it as, let's say I want to save it as simple interest, right, and I click on Save. So this file is saved as simple interest. You can go ahead with uploading this file onto your portal assignments. Alright, thank you very much. Have a nice day.